Welcome to America's Heroes Group.
Welcome back to America's Heroes Group Roundtable. We are globally connected. Military Family Matters, and with our partner, family caregiver, Keisha L. Jackson. Today is Saturday, October 2nd, 2021. October is National Breast Cancer Month. Keep in mind that just about 44,000 women are expected to die this year from breast cancer. And it's also Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Every minute, nearly 20 people are physically abused by an intimate partner. I am Sean Claiborne, National Guard veteran, co-host, and our host is Cliff Kelly, executive producer Glenda Smith. Our digital media producer is Ivan Ortega of Scouts Honor Productions. And for our next part of our discussion today, we have panelist Keisha L. Jackson. She is a U.S. Air Force veteran and family caregiver. We also have on our line Amy Palmer, a U.S. Air Force veteran, president and CEO of Soldiers Angels. And also, we have a discussion today. We're talking about Soldiers Angels Baby Brigade and the Women of Valor programs. Welcome, ladies, to our show.
For having us today.
Thanks for joining us. Keisha, can you hear us?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
How are you doing today?
I am doing well.
All right. Do you want to give us a brief introduction of Amy and the work that she does before we jump in?
Yeah, most definitely. I wanted to ask you, do you remember the 1980s Be All You Can Be commercial?
Yes. That's probably what got me to join when I was a kid growing up.
It was, we can do more before 9 a.m. than most people do all day.
That's from the Navy, yeah.
Yeah,
My brother was in the Navy.
That commercial and tagline could be the motto for Amy Palmer and Soldiers Angels. When Amy talks about Soldiers Angels and their programs, you'll understand why I say that, and even why they have the word angels included in their name.
Wow.
I mean, Soldiers Angels,
I said, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. The number of programs and services that Soldiers Angels provide is incredible. For instance, they have a canteen gift card program for veterans who go to VA appointments but can't afford to eat in the VA cafeteria. They have a transportation program that provides Uber, Lyft, Greyhound, and public transportation for veterans who can't get to appointments. They help homeless veterans who test COVID positive by transporting them to homeless shelters where they're provided temporary housing during their quarantine period. They deliver home meals to those at risk. They've also assisted with buying meals for VA hospital staff. I mean, and that's not even half of the programs that Soldiers Angels provide. But I'm going to turn it over to Amy so that she can talk about two programs in particular, and if there's time to elaborate on the ones that I just mentioned. So welcome, Amy.
How you doing, Amy?
Thank you. Good, thanks. Thanks, Keisha. I think we might have to hire her. She's a great advocate of Soldiers Angels work.
So how did Soldiers Angels Baby Brigade start? Tell me about that, and then also how'd you get that name, Soldiers Angels Baby Brigade? That sounds like something that just grabs your attention just by saying it.
Yeah, so Soldiers Angels was actually started by General Patton's family, and when one of the Patton great-grandkids was deployed to Iraq. And so the program was created right after the invasion of Iraq in 2003. The Baby Brigade program is actually one of our oldest programs on the family support side to support families of those deployed during that period. And the program's just grown and been expanded since then. The Baby Brigade program now supports families of deployed service members who are expecting while the deployment, post 9/11 wounded, ill, and injured spouses who are expecting, and female service members who are expecting, or female veterans, and then also low-income veterans that are referred by the VA that are expecting and they don't have the means to provide those services. So the Baby Brigade program is like a virtual baby shower. They get hand-sewn items from our sewing and crafting team. They get store-bought items, but they create a virtual registry, and we provide support to them from angels all over the world.
Wow. And how many people are involved with this organization, roughly?
You know, we've had over 180,000 volunteers come through since we started and support deployed service members. And a lot of those, since deployments have drawn down, have shifted to support families and caregivers and the WOV program, Women of Valor. And so we probably have 10,000 that are still engaged in those programs alone.
Wow. And then, so tell me, walk me through the steps. So how does a person get involved or get help and support from your organization? And then what are some of the things that they can expect once they communicate with you?
So all of our programs are a little bit different depending on what they're applying for, but there's a register for services link on our website at soldiersangels.org. For those that are registered for deployed support, it's one application. For all of the family support programs, it's different applications. For Women of Valor, Baby Brigade, our Adopt a Family program for the holidays, which is upcoming, they actually create a profile and fill out an application for those services. So for Baby Brigade, they can apply within the window of the birth of their child. If they apply early, we hold it until they fall within that window, and then they submit information about their colors, their color schemes, anything particular that they need, and then our angels that are on that team can see those opportunities and mail those items directly to them from all over the world.
Wow. So the volunteers, so if you go to the website, you can actually become a volunteer and donate resources, and then also donate some time or services. Is that correct also?
Correct, right. So, on the vet support side, we have a lot of programs where they donate time and services. On the family member side, which like Adopt a Family, Women of Valor, Baby Brigade they can register to be an angel and volunteer on that team. But then if they adopt one, adopt a service member or adopt a family through Adopt a Family holidays, they'll send those items directly to them. So in our Baby Brigade program, we have a lot of people who sew things. So they'll see that they need booties or blankets or things, and they knit and crochet those items. Some of it's store-bought items, bottles, wipes, diapers, all those sorts of things. So angels see those opportunities. They take them kind of just like a registry if you went into a retailer, and they take those opportunities and they mail those items to that family.
Okay. Now, before I move on to Women of Valor, for the Baby Brigade, one thing I wanted to touch on, because a lot of people don't realize a lot of people that are in the military are on social assistance. And so is this program geared towards people that are low to moderate income, or is it for all people that are military service? How does the program feed people?
Yeah, so some of them are based on income levels. In this program, like post 9/11, wounded, ill, and injured, and the veterans. Now, the veterans that are low income come from the social workers at the VA, so they vet them. We don't actually vet them for income or need. That's done by the VA. But post 9/11, wounded, ill, and injured, as long as they fall in that category, they would be eligible. And then, of course, the families have deployed. It's really meant to thank them for their service and really to kind of help fill that gap, especially during deployment when they can't be there for that spouse. And so really it's more of a thank you than it is a need, particularly on that program.
Okay. Now, what about Women of Valor? Tell us about that, and how is that program structured?
The Women of Valor program is great, and it's different than any other program similar for caregivers because it's an all-female volunteer team. So they're all females that support, of course, female caregivers of wounded, ill, and injured. They support them. The angels that sign up on the team support them with blessing boxes and cards and letters. A lot of caregivers put themselves last, and they take care of their children. They take care of the wounded hero that they're supporting. And so they often don't take care of their own needs. And that, on their special occasions and holidays and birthdays, sometimes they let those things slide because they're so focused on providing for everybody else. And so the blessing boxes that our volunteers send, really like candles and spa items and all sorts of things, just to show them that we appreciate them and appreciate their service and sacrifice. And then we also offer other programs, like we have DIY programs, painting with a twist sorts of things and stuff, to create a relationship for them with other caregivers, to eliminate stress, to reduce their isolation. So we have those programs. But I think the best program, and particularly right now, as the drawdown has happened and people are coming home from Afghanistan, there's a lot of stress associated with that. Mm-hmm. We also offer MD Live services 24/7. So those caregivers get free telemedicine, telecounseling, telepsychiatry, and teledermatology through the program. A lot of them, when they come off of active duty, they're covered under TRICARE, but when that veteran leaves the military, a lot of them don't have the insurance benefits. They're not paying for insurance for the family. So a lot of times, in some cases, this is the only coverage those caregivers have for medical.
Wow. So to make it clear for the audience, so it sounds like from what I'm gathering is that the Soldiers Angels is basically almost like a hub or a network of different groups and organizations that support veterans and veterans' needs. So how many different programs are under the Soldiers Angels network or organization?
Yeah, so Soldiers Angels provides all of our own services. We contract MD Live, and so we actually pay them for those services. So any of the providers that we have, they're either a relationship with us or paid for us. Of course, we do work with partner agencies all the time. Like Blue Star Families, we have a partnership with them to refer their caregivers to our Women of Valor program. So we do work with partners, but we have 12 programs on the family support side and the deployed adoption side, like Angel Bakers, we have a sewing and crafting team, Adopt a Family, all those things that I mentioned. But we also have our vet support, which is totally separate. As Keisha mentioned, we do mobile food distributions, canteen gift cards, transportation, patient visits, luncheons and dinners, all sorts of things on the vet support side. That's entirely separate.
Mm-hmm. And how did you personally get involved? You're the president and CEO of the Soldiers Angels group. How did you become, and what motivated you to be a leader in this organization?
Yeah, so I'm an Air Force veteran, and I was married to the military also for 22 years. And so although I got out of the military and I was injured, I had to have back surgery. I then followed around after that for 22 years and ended up in San Antonio, stationed at Randolph Air Force Base, which was his last assignment. So, I've always been one of those people that they went to for connections and relationships when someone needed help, even when I was active duty. And so it was a really kind of a natural fit to go into the nonprofit world, supporting veteran and military families. I came to this job because one of the Pattons actually ran the organization, Patty Patton, and when she retired, she asked me to take over the organization. And, the organization was struggling at the time, as a lot of organizations were when the drawdown happened, and the media and the donor support wasn't as strong. And so I came in and kind of revamped the organization, and I've been, working with a great team of people to grow it ever since.
Wow. So what can we do as veterans and civilians and family members and people that are just listening to the show right now? What can we do to help your organization, help Soldiers Angels?
Well, volunteering is a big one. I mean, we, of course, donate money is always great, but volunteering is also amazing. And particularly the two teams you mentioned, like Women of Valor, finding volunteers that are willing to send a box to a caregiver is one area we're struggling right now. We actually have more caregivers wanting to join the program than we have people that are supporting them, and so they're actually on a wait list to join the program. If we don't have that support and can't guarantee that support, we wait list them until we can ensure that we can support them. So, that's really just dependent on the volunteers coming on board and joining that team and providing that support. So we are looking for female volunteers for that. Baby Brigade, of course, volunteers to help fulfill those wish list items. But, even in our local communities, that support is also great. So in addition, Adopt a Family's coming up. We have a holiday stocking collection drive. So there's so many ways that they can support us. All that's on our website at soldiersangels.org. There's a volunteer button, and there's so many opportunities, and, of course, the donation link.
And so since you've been in an organization for so long, I always ask about people that have actually are boots on the ground, helping people do things and helping people improve their lives and supporting people. What story sticks out in your mind that really motivates you to keep doing this every day? Because this has got to be hard work to do what you do every day.
It definitely is hard work, especially the families at home that we deal with and their struggles. Deployed, we send packages and we communicate with them, but the families at home that we see, that come into the office or that come to our mobile food distributions, those are really the hardest because we see the direct connection and we see the situation that they're in. And, our mobile food distributions happen in several cities around the country. I actually just got home from the one in Denver last night. We had our mobile food distribution, and to have families that can't feed their families without the food that we provide them is really, really touching to me. Actually in San Antonio, where our headquarters is, we have two veteran brothers that ride their bikes to get their food, and they pack those bikes up as full as they can to carry the food home with them on their bicycle, and they do an amazing job doing that. But that food gets them through the month. But recently we renovated a home for a World War II veteran, and that veteran rode his bike all the way across town to come help us paint that man's house. And just seeing those sorts of stories of them getting the service and needing it, but also giving back was really, really quite touching.
Wow, that's amazing. So where do you see the organization going in the future? What's your goal for what's your next step or your next plans for expanding the organization or trying to develop it further? What would you like to do?
We really work closely with our partner agencies and with the VAs to really determine where the unmet needs are that we could provide support. And so we are actually looking at expanding. Some of the VAs have food pantries in the VA, so we're looking at supporting them with food contributions in our relationships with Feeding America and local affiliate food banks. We're looking at short-term hotel, particularly for women or men in domestic violence situations that need to be removed from that household by the social workers, temporary hotel stays and things like that. So that's something that we're also looking at. We're looking at some things on the deployed side, like single service members coming home from deployments that have to move back into their dorms and need bedding and, all those toiletries and things that they need to move back in. So those are just some of the needs that have been identified so far that we will be looking at potentially building into the budget next year. But the most growth for us will be on the vet support side. Deployments, of course, drawn down. There's not a huge amount of need that we feel like we can meet in that population of people. But on the vet support, that side is growing and growing rapidly. And there's so many gaps in those services. There's a lot of agencies providing volunteer support and in-kind goods and things, but people actually putting the cash into it. So like with transportation services, Uber and Lyft and those things, we pay those directly. And so they book them and we actually pay that bill every month. And so, for organizations that have the kind of cash that are able to do that, we're one of the few that actually can supplement those needs. And so those are things that we're looking at continuing to do and continuing to grow to other markets that we're not currently offering them.
That's amazing. That's amazing. One more time, could you give us the way to contact you, the way to get involved, the address, website address, or any other pieces of information you can use to contact you?
Absolutely. soldiersangels.org, so soldiersangels.org. Our phone number is 210-629-0020, or they can email us at information at soldiersangels.org.
Wow, that's amazing. So now, you have people that come in and donate resources and things like that. Is this anywhere across the United States, or is it specific target markets that you work in, or is the need greater in certain parts of the country than others?
One of the great things about Soldiers Angels is we were virtual before virtual was cool. Wow. And so even pre-COVID, we had virtual programs. So all of those teams that I mentioned, Deployed Adoptions, Adopt a Family, Women of Valor, Baby Brigade, everything is done by mail. And so that's great for volunteers that are all over the country and all over the world. We have them internationally that support U.S. service members in 31 foreign countries. And so, as long as they have access to a post office, they can do that from anywhere. We have a lot of people on disability as well that do that because they can't do a lot of other things, and it's a way for them to participate. On our vet support side, anywhere there's a VA facility, we can provide services. And so we do serve most of those facilities. So, for instance, with Veterans Day coming up, we're organizing Veterans Day activities in 122 VA medical centers nationwide. So there's always opportunities with us in one way, shape, or form. And everything's on our website under the volunteer tab, virtual and in-person volunteer opportunities.
So how many hours a day do you put into, you personally, how many hours a day do you work? Are you working like 25 hours a day? How do you get all this stuff done?
Sometimes I feel like that, but it's great. I couldn't be in the for-profit world working that many hours. I just feel like I'm doing it for a reason and doing it to provide a service. So it is long days. And, of course, in the nonprofit world, it's not the best pay in the world, but we're doing it for a reason, and that reason is much bigger than the dollars or the time to me.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned earlier that you had more volunteers in certain things, but not enough the actual resources for the volunteers to actually do what they need to do. What can the volunteers that are signing up to do certain things that you have too much of, what can they be doing to try to fill that gap, that need gap that you might be facing?
Absolutely. So as deployments have drawn down, we're trying to kind of motivate some of those volunteers who are typically supporting deployed to transition to support the families through like Women of Valor and Baby Brigade. Women of Valor, as I mentioned, we have a wait list of people waiting to join that team and be supported by us, but it's really limited to the number of volunteers we have to provide support. So they get a blessing box on a quarterly basis and on their birthday, and it's just a care package for them with items that really just show them that we support them. And, those things really make a difference. If you look on our website, you'll see people burst in tears and cry over those boxes that they get. They come on a really bad day and that box shows up, and it really just changes their whole mood and eliminates a lot of stress and anxiety that they feel. So those little packages do really make a difference, and we need volunteers to be able to provide those to continue to grow those. And on the Baby Brigade side, of course, we're looking for volunteers because we recently added the veteran component to support low-income veterans that are referred to us by the VA. So we're looking for people to serve on that team as well. So
as a takeaway, if you're on the waiting list, find another way to support. Don't stay on the waiting list. Do other things to support the organization. So any final words you want everybody to know? What's one thing that you want us to know about the organization so that way we can be better at supporting you and also help you thrive in the future?
I think the biggest takeaway is that there's something for everybody, whether that's donating money, volunteering at a local facility, volunteering virtually, We have administrative support volunteers that volunteer virtually. So there's something for everybody, that may have only an hour a week to 40 hours a week and everything in between. We have, skilled professionals and social workers and psychologists to housewives and people on disability and all sorts of things in between. So we can find an opportunity for everybody if they want to visit our website and reach out.
I appreciate your time. That was a really good conversation. I really appreciate what you do, Amy, and I think you are an angel yourself for actually putting in the hard work and time to build something like this, because I know it's not easy to do the type of work that you do every day. Ms. Jackson, are you there with us?
Yes, I am.
Do you have any final words before we move on to our next segment?
Nope. I definitely wanted to give that time to Amy. So thank you, Amy. Really appreciate it, sharing the information.
Now, thank you both for joining us. And we'll be right back. This is America's Heroes Group. It's Saturday, October 2nd, 2021. This month October is National Breast Cancer and Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I want to make that a word to you because one thing people don't realize that 2,600 men will be diagnosed with breast cancer this year in 2021. 280,000 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer this year. We'll be right back.